All right, this is still Monday, April 21st. This is the second part of your Kumon 23 video. So yesterday, or for the first video, we were talking about how percent is a number over 100. We talked about how you first are going to convert it to a fraction over 100. And if your fraction is not over 100, if it's over 10, you might have to multiply it to make it over 100. Or you might have to divide it by powers of 10 if your denominator is bigger than 100. Now all these problems on this page were decimals, but what happens when you're turning a number that is a whole number into a percent? So first we're going to look at how do we write whole numbers as percents. So again, if you just want to get out a scratch piece of paper, this would be like what we would practice on dry erase boards. If we have a whole, we have what percent? Think of a whole pie. 100%. Well, if we have two whole pies, we have what percent? 200%. Not just one whole pie, but two whole pies. Well, what about three whole pies? %300. Now this is all fine and dandy, but what if we get to a number that has a 0? So if we have 10 whole pies, we have 100%, 100%, 100%, 100%, 10 times, because each pie is 100%. Well, if I have 10 pies, and each one is 100%, 100%, 100%, 100%, 100%, 100%, 100%, 100%, 100%, 100%, 100%. If I added all these together, 10 groups of 100, I would get 1,000%. What if I had 100 groups of 100? 100 groups of 100. 10,000%. What if I had 200 groups of 100? 20,000%. All right, so the main thing that we need to remember is that one whole is the same as 100%. One whole is 100 hundredths. Numerator and denominator are the same, so they equal 1. And we take our numerator, and that gives us our percent. All right, so let's look at this one, number 6. We have one whole, 100 hundredths. It's 100%, right? But now we also need to convert this decimal to a percent. So I'm going to just write this as a fraction, 5 thousandths. Now in our practice from the first video, we were practicing changing this into hundredths. So where is the decimal hiding? Behind the number. What are we going to divide our numerator and denominator by to get hundredths? We're going to divide by 10 over 10. All right, if we're dividing, which direction do we move our decimal? All right. 1. So we have 0.5 hundredths. So what percent is that? But how are we going to put these together? How would you add together 100% and 0.5%? 100.5%. All right, let's try a couple more. Let's do actually 8, 9, and 10. All right, so what is one whole? 100 hundredths, which is what percent? 100%. Now I have my decimal numbers. Write it as a fraction. What's my denominator going to be? Tenths. I can't have a percent over 1,000. It's got to be over what number? 100. How am I going to reduce this and get denominators of 100? Alright, so we're going to write our number down here so we can see where is the decimal hiding. Behind the number. I'm going to divide my decimal so my decimal moves what direction? Left. How many place values is it going to move? 1. Alright, so how do I write this as a percent? Which number do we write? Numerator or denominator? Numerator. So it's 10.3 out of 100. All right, but now I have 100% and I have 10.3%. So if I added those numbers together, what's my total percent? 110.3%. Remember we said our strategy they were teaching us was just to move it over? You're just multiplying it by 100. And we're multiplying it by 100 so we get a denominator of 100. Because this number right here, let me go ahead and, where can I write? I'm going to write it to the side over here. 1.103 over 1. That's that number, right? A whole number. But we need our number over a denominator of 100. So we're just multiplying by 100. Because 1 times 100 is 100. This number times 100 is, sure enough, we just move our decimal place over twice to the right. That's how the trick works. All right, 2 whole pies. 1 whole pie, 1 whole pie gives me how many hundredths? And which number is our percent? Numerator. Okay, so let's use their trick. 2, how do I write 2 as a whole number as a fraction? Over 1. We've been working on that in the other class. Now I need to make an equivalent fraction. 1 times what is 100? If I do it to the bottom, I gotta do it to the top. 2 times 100 is 200. Or, you move your decimal right, times 10, times 100. 3 different ways to do it. All right, so let's try this one. This is our last one we're going to work on today. And then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 practice problems. So we have 200 hundredths, which equals what percent? Just did it up at the top. Now we have, how do we write this as a fraction? 2 hundredths, which equals what percent? If I have 200% and 2%, how much do I have altogether? 202%. All right, if we're going to use their trick, let's try their trick. You don't have to write this one down. I'm just showing you so we can see. We're making an equivalent fraction over 100, so we need to multiply by 100. If I do it to the bottom, I gotta do it to the top. Times 100. 1, 2. 202 hundredths. 202%. All right. This is it for our lesson today. Your next video, and I'll probably post this one on Tuesday. Your next video is going to have your Kumon number 24. And this one is just going the opposite direction. So going from a percent to a decimal. All right. I hope you guys are working hard and stretching your brains. This is pretty advanced math. We'll talk to you all soon.